Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Radiantly Feminine podcast, where we embrace elegance, confidence, and the power of true femininity. I'm your host, Mookie. So whether you're looking to refine your presence, elevate your mindset, or even navigate relationships with ease, this is going to be your space to grow and glow. So sit back, relax, and let's unlock your feminine power together. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Thanks so much for pressing play today. I just want to say, please be sure to follow the show and rate the show if you haven't done so already, because it actually helps us reach more amazing people such as yourself. And please feel free to leave a comment because I know this is a podcast and I'm talking to you guys and you can't really talk back, but the comment sections allow you to speak to me in that way. And this is a community. So this is going to be a safe space for us to come together and connect with one another. So I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts on pretty much any episode. So please be sure to leave a comment if you have any questions or you just want to share your thoughts. Now, today's episode is all about connections, not the kind that need grand gestures or big orchestrated moments, but the kinds that grow through small intentional actions. So today we are going to be talking about how to keep your connections thriving and maintaining healthy connections. You know, the more time passes, the more I realize that relationships, whether they're friendships, romantic partnerships, family bonds, or even work connections, don't just stay strong because of history. They stay strong because of a consistent, caring investment. And the best part is, it's usually the simplest, smallest actions that leave the deepest impact. So let's talk about how we can reinforce those connections that matter to you the most without overthinking or overcomplicating or overextending yourself. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, I heard this idea a while back and it said relationships are built in micro moments. So basically, it's not the once a year birthday dinner that cements your bond. It's the random thinking of you text, the smile when you see someone, the quick check in when they pop into your mind. And we often think that keeping a relationship strong requires these grand gestures like big trips, hour-long conversations over the phone, extravagant surprises. But honestly, the real magic lies in those micro moments. The big gestures can grab your attention. I'm not going to lie about that. They will definitely help grab your attention. But those micro moments are going to uphold the connection. They're going to help maintain the connection. Those small intentional moments where you pause just to check in, remembering someone's favorite coffee order and sending it without them asking. These aren't just cute gestures. These are emotional glue. And think of it like watering a plant. If you wait until the plant is drooping and dried out to give it a gallon of water, you may or may not revive it. But it's much easier and much more healthier to give it a little water every now and then. And micro moments are powerful because they tell someone, I see you, I value you, I'm here. And these work in friendships, romantic relationships, and even in how we connect with our kids, and honestly, how we connect with ourselves. So life gets busy, but when we sprinkle these small acts of presence into our day, they add up into a deep, long-lasting bond. So some examples of micro moments can be when you send a quick voice note instead of a text, because your tone and your laughter will make it more personal. Or when you share a song, a meme, or an article that made you think of them. And I recommend you really try to remember small details they mentioned, like their job interview date or their kid's recital, and ask them how it went later on. And people close to us love when you remember these little things. And I'm honestly always surprised when someone remembers something I told them, because sometimes I don't even remember myself. And I think it's just so nice to know that others are thinking of you. And the good thing is these small gestures do not take hours out of your day, but they plant seeds that keep the connection alive and thriving. So the next time you think you don't have time or you don't need to put in effort to connect, remember, one thoughtful text, a shared laugh, a 2-minute phone call, it all counts. Those micro moments are the quiet love notes that keep your connections alive. And I did this with a guy I was dating. Like, we didn't live super close to each other, we lived in different cities, so I wrote him like a little note, just telling him that I appreciated meeting him, and I'm enjoying our time getting to know each other, this and that. And then I put like cute little lipstick kisses on the front. It was super cute, and it was just a little micro moment to let them know I was thinking of them, but in an old fashioned way where it wasn't through text. It was something they had to wait for. So delayed gratification is thrown into the mix, and then they had to get it out of their mail. I thought that was such a cute idea. And I think that one of the most overlooked ways to reinforce a connection is simply by being present. When we live in such a distracted world where half of our brain is on our phone and the other half is on the conversation and barely catching the details. But when you decide to really listen, to put the phone down, look someone in their eyes, and give them your full undivided attention, it feels real and it feels valuable. I do have some ways to practice this. So let's say you're meeting a friend or a date in person. Try putting your phone on silent and out of sight. And me personally, I like to put mine on my lap if it can't fit in my purse, because if I'm going out, I like to just carry a small purse. But like my everyday bag, it's a big bag, so it can easily fit my phone and a bunch more. But when I'm going out to look cute, I usually carry a small bag, so I usually don't have room for my phone. So I will put it on my lap, and I do not put it on the table, just to avoid it becoming a distraction, or even just being tempted to pick it up and check it, say I want to check the time, because I just automatically just gravitate towards my phone. So I'm picking it up just to have something in my hand. And you can also repeat back little things that they've said to show that you're actively listening to them, and ask questions instead of jumping in with your own story. All of this does work, and it is meaningful, because when you are actively choosing to show someone that you are in the present moment with them, it's powerful because it says, you matter to me enough to pause everything else. And when it comes to feminine energy, presence is everything. I've talked about this so many times, you guys. It's not just about being there physically, it's about showing up emotionally and energetically. And when you're present, you create a space where the other person feels seen, they feel safe, and they feel valued. And I want you to know that presence sounds like, I'm not rushing to the next thing. I'm here with you. I'm listening. I care. And that type of energy is magnetic. It makes people want to lean in, open up, and connect with us on a deeper level. But when we are distracted or half listening or already thinking about what we want to say next, the other person can feel that. But when we soften, we make eye contact, put our phone down, and really take in the moment, it sends the silent but powerful message that says, you matter to me right now. And I've said this so many times, but feminine energy thrives in the present moment. It's about savoring the connection, hearing the tone of someone's voice, catching the sparkle in their eyes, and letting those details become part of your shared bond. And when you are fully present, you invite intimacy in, the kind of intimacy that cannot be forced or manufactured. And that's how connections are maintained and deepened over time. I also want to talk about small acts of generosity. Now, generosity isn't just about money, so I'm just going to stop you guys right there. It's about being giving of yourself with your time, your energy, and your encouragement. And generosity can show up as you offering to help with something small, like babysitting for an hour, to let your friend rest, proofreading their resume, dropping off soup when they're sick. But it is important not to overextend yourself, because that will deplete you of your feminine energy. And be sure to use discernment when choosing who to do this for, because it can easily turn into people pleasing. So I do want you guys to just be mindful of that. Generosity can also be you sending a handwritten note, like I stated before, for no reason other than to brighten their day. And you can also check in after a tough week, not just during the moment. And the key is that generosity is genuine and consistent. It makes people feel seen and valued, and that is what helps build the trust between you two. And you can still be generous while staying grounded in your feminine energy. So I do just want to take a second to elaborate on this really quickly. You can try offering your presence, not just your productivity or physical labor, because one of the most generous things you can give is your undivided attention. You don't have to bake the cake, organize the event, clean up, nurture, and fix someone else's problem in order to be generous. So be sure to listen deeply, remember details, and hold space because those are gifts too. You can also give what feels abundant, not what feels depleting. I've honestly cut people off when it felt like they were draining because to me, it wasn't an equal exchange of energy and I was pouring too much into someone and it was costing me my peace and my energy. And I say that because when you are in your feminine energy, generosity will flow best when it comes from your overflow. And I'm sure we've all heard the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. But even when your cup is full and abundant, you can still end up drained if you keep pouring without balance, or if the other person is requiring you to pour too much and more than what you were anticipating. So ask yourself, do I have this to give right now without resentment later? If the answer is no, it's okay to say no to them. And I personally let people know I can't be their emotional anchor. So it's important for them to ask if I have room to receive their problems before they just dump them on me. And another feminine way to be generous is to share your gifts and talents in small, heartfelt ways. I've done this by writing a handwritten note, or you can share a meaningful idea, or send someone an uplifting voice message. All of these small yet intentional gestures often mean more than the grand, exhausting efforts. Now, being generous doesn't mean always saying yes. Sometimes it's saying, I can't do that, but I can offer this instead. And that is a way you can give within your capacity while honoring yourself. You can also celebrate others without self erasure. So try giving a compliment, acknowledgement, and cheer for people, but don't dim your own light to make them comfortable. True feminine generosity adds warmth to the room without shrinking yourself. And lastly, you can offer some of your energy, but not rescue missions. And what I mean by this is there's a difference between uplifting someone and carrying them on your back. It's possible to inspire, encourage, and help someone see their own strength. Don't burn yourself out trying to be their savior. So if they're coming to you looking for guidance, don't provide them with the answer to their problems. Just simply guide them to find the answers for themselves. So yes, generosity is important for maintaining your connections, but generosity from an empty cup becomes an obligation, and generosity from a full cup becomes love. So I want you guys to know the difference. Now, I'm going to be honest with you all about something I noticed has been normalized. We tend to save our celebrations for big wins. This can be for new jobs, engagements, milestones, but the ordinary days are where life actually happens, and it's important that we don't lose sight of that. I want to encourage you all to celebrate small victories with people you care about. Celebrate them for finally organizing their closet they've been talking about for so long now, or celebrate them for trying a new recipe and it turned out absolutely great. And celebrate them for going on a walk every day this week. Those are big accomplishments. We just treat them as small compared to the big ones, those big milestones, the engagements, the promotions. But everything matters. We can celebrate the little ones too. Acknowledging and sharing happiness over these little things reinforces the idea that their everyday life matters to you. And it's also important to start doing this with yourself. I know from experience that it can be easy to lose sight of little things, especially when we get in the habit of setting big goals for ourselves. So I want to remind you all that it's important to stay grounded and celebrate your small wins, even if nobody is around to see them. And I think one of the most beautiful aspects of our feminine energy is its ability to romanticize the everyday. We don't just wait for birthdays, anniversaries, or milestones to celebrate. We understand that intimacy and closeness grow in the moments that most people might overlook. And celebrating the ordinary can be as simple as purchasing some nice PJs and romanticizing your nighttime routine, or texting someone a song or a picture and saying, "This made me think of you," or even turning a regular Tuesday night into a cozy dinner with candles instead of eating while you're doom scrolling, or just simply complimenting someone's laugh, not just their big accomplishments. And this all matters because the ordinary moments are where most of our relationships actually live. And if we only acknowledge the big events, we leave long stretches where our connections can start to fade. But when we infuse joy and softness and attention into the everyday, we're reminding the people we love that our relationship matters all the time and not just sometimes. And our feminine energy thrives in noticing and in catching the small spark in someone's eyes when they feel appreciated for something simple. Those little celebrations tell people, I see you, I value you, even when nothing special is truly happening. That's how trust, warmth, and closeness are maintained for years. Now, here's the truth. You don't need to be the most exciting, the most spontaneous, or available person to maintain a strong bond. You just need to be consistent and present. Someone who calls once a week and checks in genuinely will build a stronger connection than someone who plans a big get together once a year but disappears in between. Now, consistency sounds like I can count on you, and in a world that feels unpredictable, that is priceless. When you're in your feminine energy, that same consistency is far more magnetic than intensity. Intensity can feel exciting in the moment. Trust me, I know it can feel very exciting in the moment. And that sudden burst of attention, the grand gestures, the deep late night talks. But if they're followed by long gaps of silence or absence, the connection will feel unstable. And while consistency is the quiet, steady rhythm that builds trust, it's checking in regularly, not just when you feel inspired. It's sending that quick thinking of you note, even when life feels super busy. It's remembering to follow up on something your friend told you last week. And feminine energy thrives in sustainable giving. It's not about pouring out everything in one go. It's about allowing your warmth, care, and presence to flow in manageable ways. And this allows your relationships to breathe, grow, and deepen over time without burning yourself out or making others feel like they have to chase you for the connection to work. So you can think of it like tending to a garden. The garden needs sunlight and water in order to continuously grow, not a sudden flood. The people in your life don't need you to show up dramatically. They need you to show up faithfully. I say all of that to say intensity can most definitely spark a connection, but consistency will keep it alive. So, here's what I want you to take away from this episode. Reinforcing a connection doesn't require a major time investment or elaborate plans. It's about being intentional in the little things like sending a warm text message or asking the follow up question, remembering the details, and showing up, especially when it's ordinary, not just when it's urgent. Your relationships are like threads. Each small, thoughtful action is another stitch that keeps the clothing strong. So think about one connection that you value. What's one small, simple action you can take today to reinforce it? Then I want you to go ahead and do it. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I have to wrap this episode up because my throat is just feeling super scratchy. But I hope that this inspires you to keep tending to the relationships that matter to you in ways that feel natural and genuine. But before I go, I'll leave you with this. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest intention. And that's by Oscar Wilde. So until next time, take care of your connections and they'll take care of you in return. I am so glad that you pressed play today, like I said before. So thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate you guys who check in and just listen in when you can. I truly appreciate it. I will talk to you next week. Bye.